Hi, it's Lorna, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make some paper beads. Paper beads are a simple but fun craft that you can do to make some really cool jewelry. It's a little bit funky, it's a little bit fun, and it's a great way to upcycle or recycle old magazines or books, whatever kind of paper you want to use. Today I just have some scrapbooking paper. It's actually cardstock. It's a little bit thick for this. You can use cardstock, it's just a little bit hard to roll, but it does make a nice durable project. So this technique is not new. It's been around for a very, very long time. Probably as long as paper's been around, honestly. So there's different kinds of paper that you can use. Magazines, old watercolor papers are great. I'm going to be rolling it around this. It's like a toothpick, but really long. It's like a skewer, but short. And you could use a paintbrush. You could use something metal, like an awl would work really nice for this. And I'm using gloss Mod Podge. If you don't want a gloss finish, feel free to grab, they have satin or matte. They have matte as well. So go ahead and grab your Mod Podge, but if you don't have Mod Podge, you can seal the finished product in a clear glaze or even a resin if you want these to be around for a really long time. Whatever you seal it with, just make sure that it is going to be water resistant and resist the oils on your skin. You don't have to seal these, but they will not last as long because the oils in your skin will break down the paper. So I'm just going to use the width of my ruler for this. It's about 1 inch. And I'm going to do it on this paper as well, just to show you that you can use other smaller papers. I'm not actually going to roll this paper, but you can use the smaller paper if you would like. It just gives you less thick of a bead. So it'll be a thinner bead. And you're just going to cut along the lines. So you want to try and cut nice and straight. An X-Acto blade would be great for this. You could cut them even smaller and smaller and smaller. The width of your paper is just going to determine how long your bead is. So if I have a 1 inch strip of paper, my bead is going to end up being 1 inch long, which is a pretty long bead. So most beads are about 1/4 inch in size. So you could cut this into fourths and have 4 beads. But I'm doing it inch because I want to show you a larger scale so you can see it really nice on camera. So this is my 1 inch bead. This one I did not measure, so you can see it's a little bit wonky on the edge here. It looks like you can see how it's just slightly off. I'm okay with that, and it's just a practice bead. It's not going into any jewelry. So you can measure, or you really don't have to. It's up to you, because you're going to have a more finished, polished look if you do measure. And if you're going to sell it, you should probably measure. So I'm going to show you a few different ways to cut these strips to make different kinds of beads. So stay tuned. I'm going to start with a more simple bead like this one, just a cylinder bead. And then I'm going to move on to the more complex. So the first thing you need to do is grab your skewer, and you're going to roll it around the paper around your skewer 1 to 2 times over without any glue, because if you add the glue now, it's going to stick to your skewer. So I'm just going to hold this by the corners here and roll. So I want to tuck the paper, the end of my paper, in securely so that it's easier for me to roll. I don't really want it to spin freely on here too loosely. You should be able to spin it just so that you can get it off, but you want it nice and tight so that it doesn't flatten out. You want it to be nice and round. So after you've gotten it about 2 or 3, I'm going to add a strip of the Mod Podge down the center. I'm not going all the way to the edge because as I roll it, I don't want the Mod Podge to squirt out the edges. So then I'm just going to roll this all the way up. So that's it. That's your finished bead. I added a little bit of Mod Podge to the end here so it lays nice and flat. But now you want to seal it so that your skin oil does not disintegrate your paper. And I'm just going to seal that with the Mod Podge that I have. You want to make sure that you do a nice thin coat of your Mod Podge on here. You don't want it to be streaky or have lots of buildup in some areas. So you really just want to take your time and put on the Mod Podge in a nice thin layer. You can add multiple layers. So if you want a nice thick glossy coat, do one coat, let it dry, add another, let it dry. 3 coats is probably great. Same with spray paint or anything like a varnish. If you're using a varnish, you want to make sure that you let it dry in between coats. Otherwise, you're not really building up, you're just smushing it around. So making sure to do the edges. You want to be careful not to get it on the skewer, and if you do, you want to just move it around so that it is free of the glue. Using a metal awl definitely works great for this because you can take it off a little bit easier. So I like to set mine in a cup to dry. And now I'm going to show you a different kind of bead. So I'm going to show you this one that is split in the middle. So it has a little thin, and I'll show you exactly how to measure and draw that out. So I've got my ruler and I flipped my paper over, and I'm just going about 2 inches up. And then I'm going about to the center. So if my paper is 1 inch wide, I want to go 1/2 inch. Then I'm going to go from that middle mark that I made. And again, if you make a larger piece, you're going to need to find the middle. That's what I did. I found the middle. Then I'm just taking it from the middle and angling it down to the corner. So you can see my ruler is from the middle all the way down. A nice tapered look. I'm going to do that on the opposite side as well. So I'm just going to angle my ruler from middle to end. Then I'm going to cut out this triangle here. Save your triangle, cut nicely, because you're going to be able to make another bead that looks kind of like a little mini croissant out of this center strip here. You could even use brown paper and make a cute little croissant bead. So I've cut out my middle strip. Remember to save that. Save your middle. So this is the bead that we're making. Again, it has that center, and you can see now why the center is missing there is because we cut it out. So I'm going to start again with rolling. I'm going to roll it up the same way that I did for my cylinder bead, with the exception of when I get closer to the end, I need to make sure that my little strips at the end are laying in the center. So you'll see that I straighten them out and wrap one at a time so that I can get them nice and straight. So just go slow, add glue as you need. I did not go all the way up with the glue for this because I just want to be precise with my rolling. So now that I've gotten to this point, I'm going to add glue on these little tails here and make sure that I'm wrapping them around in the center of each section of the bead. So it's divided in the middle, so that's what I'm calling a section. There's 2 sections. So I want to roll as far as I can, and then as I feel that it's starting to go astray, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add glue on one side and roll that individually. So I'm not going to roll them both at the same time. So I'm just going to wrap it around the center just to make sure that it's going in place, because I can feel it starting to want to go to the left here. Taking that extra step just to make sure that it's wrapped correctly is a really great thing to do so that you're not doing all this work for nothing. Just adding this last little bit of glue, and that's it for this bead. I'm going to move on to the crescent roll bead. That's what I call it anyways, but it's more of just a rounded little kind of tapered bead. It's almost like if you break up these sections into a single section. So this is a lot like doing the cylinder bead, only when you get towards the tip, just like we did for the previous bead with the sections, we want to make sure that this little tip is going in the center. So you can pick it up and wrap it around if you need to. But this is actually just how they roll croissants too. They make sure that the little triangle is in the center of their bead, and then you have this rounded, thicker part in the middle, and it gets tapered at the ends. Pretty cool. That and there's really no waste in this project because you can use all of your cutouts for other beads. So now I have this little thin strip. This is about 1/4 inch. And I just wanted to show you a difference in cylinders, how you don't have to do a 1-inch bead. You can do lots of little beads if that's what you want as well. You can cut just triangles out and see how that goes. I really recommend kind of playing around with this, and as you get more advanced and you're more comfortable with doing some of the basic kinds of beads, you'll find that online there are patterns for different kinds of beads out there. There are some really complex ones with lots of little cuts in them, and they get crazy cool beads. So this is just a little window into handmade paper beads, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. It really helps us out. If we get to 100 subscribers, we can get a fancy YouTube name instead of all those numbers and letters that are quite hard to remember. So it would really be a great way to support us is to hit that subscribe button. Have a great day.